Hey guys, 813 Hockey Cards here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my favorite player from each NHL team, represented by a specific card of theirs I have in my collection. So I thought this was a pretty cool video idea, and I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while, and I thought now's a perfect time. And today's video is actually going to be SP Game Use, the new SP Game Use that just dropped on Thursday, but I just purchased one of the best Lightning cards I've ever bought in my life. That's definitely going to be top 5, and it was a hefty price, to say the least. So, yeah, so that's why I'm probably not going to do SP Game Used on my channel. But in the next week or so, whenever I get that card and another Lightning card as well, I'm going to be showing off every single card in my Lightning PC, or at least the main big ones. I have like a lot of canvas cards and stuff as well, which I don't know if I'll put that in that video, but yeah, stay tuned for that because I'm really excited about that. But today, let me go through this massive stack of cards and I can show you guys what my favorite player from each team is. And there's some pretty cool cards in here that I don't think you guys have seen before, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so all of these players are currently playing in the NHL right now. There's a lot of retired players like let's see, Peter Forsberg, who would probably be it for the Avalanche, but obviously I'm not going to do that because he's not playing today. Maybe it'd be Joe Sakic. But yeah, so let's start with the Anaheim Ducks. My favorite player right now is Maxime Comtois. He was the 2019 Canadian World Junior captain. And I mean, this guy's flooded on the market right now. There's so many cards of his, it feels like. But yeah, I mean, I love his game. I think he's going to be a really good player. Not like a superstar or anything like that, but I really think he's a solid NHL player. And so I'll try to speed up this so we're not here all day, but the next team is the Arizona Coyotes, and it's going to be the 2020 junior captain for Canada, Barrett Hayton. Really like this guy. He was drafted 5th overall in 2008. There's his young gun, and then also, which you guys have probably seen, this trilogy rookie renditions card of his, numbered to 399. Yeah, I think he's a really good player. I love his game a lot. His hands are filthy, and I think once he grows into his body, kind of like some of the younger guys in the league, I think he's going to be a beast. So moving on, we have Patrice Bergeron from the Bruins. This is a Trax from 2015-16 OPG Platinum. Yeah, I don't have a ton of cards of Bergeron or a lot of Bruins. I'm not a huge fan of the Bruins, but I really like Bergeron's game. He's a 4-time Selke winner with 867 points in his career. And I mean, he's a beast on the offensive side of the game as well as defense. He really is a pest. And I think a player that's really like him now, or a younger version of him, is Anthony Cirelli. So I really like him, and there's not much bad you can say about him. Another player, I guess an honorable mention for the Bruins is David Pastrnak, just because he's a beast and he's so funny. But I think my favorite Bruins player currently and maybe even all time is Patrice Bergeron. So moving on to the Sabres, we have Jack Eichel, the former 2nd overall pick in the 2015 draft, just behind Connor McDavid. We have a banner year. I think this was used at the Winter Classic. Yeah, from 18-19 SP Game Used. I really like these banner years. Not anything crazy, but I love Eichel's game. He's like one of the fastest guys in the NHL, and he's just killing it these past couple of years. It's just the Sabres aren't the best team, so that must be frustrating. Moving on is the Calgary Flames. I actually just saw the Calgary Flames play yesterday. I got pretty good seats to that game and got to see the magician, Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey. Yeah, he's just so much fun to watch. One of my favorite players. Has 441 points in I think it's 460 games. So almost a point per game. And I mean, this guy's a beast. Apparently he only eats like turkey sandwiches and just like really basic stuff. But yeah, and an honorable mention too, it was kind of hard choosing the Flames, honestly. I like a lot of their players, but it was Matthew Tkachuk. Just really fond of the Tkachuk brothers and their dad, and just really like their play. But I think if I had to choose one, it'd be Johnny Gaudreau. And then this next one you guys should definitely know, with the Carolina Hurricanes. Let me just get all the cards I brought out of his. Is no surprise, Andrei Svechnikov. I brought out a few of his just so we can check them out. We have a future watch of numbered 669 of 999. Pulled that one myself this year, or out of 1819 SPA. We have an ultimate introductions of Andrei Svechnikov. You guys have seen these. I'll just show you guys these while I talk about him. But yeah, he's a former second overall pick in 2018, drafted just behind Rasmus Dahlin. And I mean, he's a beast. He's so good. Pulled off the Michigan. First time it's been done in the NHL. Twice now this year. Just so much fun to watch on the puck, and I think he's going to get even better too. Just a stud. But yeah, artifacts right there. Not much more I can say about him other than he's my man. He's a beast. Okay, so moving on, we have the Blackhawks, and my favorite player currently is Alex DeBrincat. I have this really cool inscribed Sign of the Times card, but yeah, he was line mates with McDavid for the Erie Otters, and drafted 39th overall in the, what draft was it? 2016 draft. And I mean, so many teams pass on him just because of his size, but he's so quick, so good, such a good goal scorer. Can be kind of streaky at times, which I've heard from Blackhawks fans is, I mean, that'd be frustrating for any fan, but yeah, I think his skill is just great, and I think he was a steal at 39th overall. And then this one was a little bit hard, but I think currently my favorite Avalanche player is Cale Makar. We have a short print from Allure, just a base rookie, but still cool nonetheless. It was really hard. I mean, Rantanen, McKinnon, and Makar, that trio is just so much fun to watch. But I think Makar, just like the hype surrounding him, he's might not be Quinn Hughes, but that, I mean, nobody else, you know, I thought it was going to be Makar winning the Calder this year, but now it just looks like Hughes is kind of taking that and running with it. But yeah, it seems like anytime he touches the puck, he's just a beast and something good happens, and his personality is hilarious. So I honestly think that is kind of what helps push Makar over the edge. But he spent 2 years at UMass, won the Hobie Baker Award, and then was selected fourth overall. I can't remember what year, but yeah, when he was drafted initially, I didn't really do my research, and I was like, who is that guy? And now, like, he just is a stud. So moving on, we have the Blue Jackets, and I think my favorite player, it could have been Pierre-Luc Dubois, but I think it really is Seth Jones. Initially drafted by the Nashville Predators in 2013, I believe, was the third overall pick behind McKinnon, Barkov, and then it was him and then Jonathan Drouin, or maybe Drouin went right before him. But yeah, I mean, great player, just like a lockdown defenseman who can play both sides of the puck, and it's just a hard guy to play against. Moving on, we have the Dallas Stars, and I mean, who other than the man rocket himself, Tyler Seguin. This is probably the best card I have of him. It's SP Game Used, number out of 25, I believe, with a John Klingberg, really cool patch, and then Seguin, looks like a number. But yeah, I mean, he's a beast. 635 points in 737 games for initially the Boston Bruins, and then they traded him to the Dallas Stars, where he's been for a while. But great player, and I mean, not much more else to say. For the Detroit Red Wings, we're going to have to go with Dylan Larkin. I mean, not many people to choose from right now with the Red Wings, with how they're being built, I guess, or rebuilt. But yeah, I mean, Larkin's not a bad player to choose from. Former Michigan standout, selected 15th overall in the 2014 draft. Kind of, you know, slipped a little bit. I feel like he should have been drafted a little bit higher, but one of the fastest players in the game, and I think he's just a stud. And moving on, this one might surprise some people. We have the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm actually going to go with Leon Draisaitl. I mean, McDavid's the obvious answer, but like, if I really had, like, obviously McDavid's amazing, and we're lucky to have him in the game, but I am such a fan of Germany and just German players. I think like the whole wave of German players is just really exciting, and Leon Draisaitl is kind of paving the way for that. And he's just huge, super skilled. A lot of people will say, oh, it's just because McDavid, but I mean, they aren't paying attention to this guy's game. So, and he had 105 points last year, and he's already at 102 points in like 65 games or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, just stud. And another stud is Alexander Barkov. I got this signed in through the mail actually. I can't believe he sent it back. It took like 2 weeks for him to send this back. But yeah, I mean, not underrated player anymore. Drafted number 2 overall in the 2013 or 14 draft, or sorry, no, 2013 draft. Had a career year last year with 96 points, I believe, and yeah, close second would be Jonathan Huberdeau. They just work so well together, and yeah, I think they're great players. Moving on, we have the LA Kings and Drew Doughty, selected second overall in the 2008 draft, right behind Steven Stamkos. I just love this guy's game. He's so consistent. I mean, it helps the card sick as well. But yeah, like just so consistent. 497 points in 914 games. Just a beast. A close second would have been Kopitar. Really love Kopitar, but I think I have to give the nod to Drew Doughty. Okay, so going to the Minnesota Wild is Eric Stahl. And it's actually, I don't really have a favorite player for the Wild, but Eric Stahl was my favorite all-time Hurricane. I don't really consider him a Wild player, even though he's been there for like the last 3 or 4 years. He was the second overall draft pick in the stacked 2003 class, right behind Marc-Andre Fleury. And I think he had 909 games with the Canes, somewhere around there. So, yeah, I just love Eric Stahl, and it still feels weird seeing him in a Wild jersey. But okay, so moving on, we have the Canadians, and I'm gonna have to go with Kotkaniemi. This one was a little bit harder. I was gonna do maybe Carey Price, maybe Nick Suzuki, but I think KK is the way to go. Drafted third overall in the 2018 draft behind Dahlin and Svechnikov, and then we had Kachuk, Hayton, Quinn Hughes. So maybe people are like, oh, you could have had Quinn Hughes, and you chose Kotkaniemi. But recently sent down to Laval to work on his game, but he took it like a champ, and I think he's going to be really, really good once he grows into his body. I mean, he's still so young, like 18 or 19, so just give him time, and I think he'll be a stud in the future. And then for the Predators, this one might also be a surprise to some of you guys, but my favorite player for them is by far Ryan Ellis. And I mean, he's not obviously the most flashy player for them, but he's been really consistent. 522 total games in the NHL. Just always is such a hard worker, and just like when you see him out on the ice, he just looks in command. So huge fan of his game. Okay, moving on to the Devils. This one also is kind of just hype, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in the league. It's Jack Hughes, and a little bit like Kotkaniemi, except, I mean, I think his potential is way higher than Kotkaniemi's. He just kind of needs to grow into his body a little bit more. He's 18 years old and has, 21 points in 56 games. So, I mean, not what people thought he was going to do initially, but like when you see him out on the ice, he's tiny, and he just needs to, grow into his body a little bit more, and he'll be a stud in the future. Very reminiscent of a young Patrick Kane, but I mean, I don't know if he'll ever be a Patrick Kane, but who knows? Who knows? And then this one for the Islanders is Matthew Barzal. And this was pretty easy for me. The Islanders are not the most fun team to watch in the league, but I mean, it's like that for a reason. They're very defensive and hard to play against. Like, you do not want to play against them. They're built for the playoffs. But I think like the shining star for their team is Matthew Barzal. And he goes against the coach a little bit just because he has, he wants to play that very flashy offensive game, which doesn't really suit their style of play. But I think just because they have him, like they have to use him to generate that offense, and the coach should let him kind of do that. So we'll see how that, not rift, but how that dynamic, I guess, works in the future for them. And then this one, for the Rangers next, I was going to go with Panarin, but I mean, when I really think about it, and I'm kind of biased, my favorite player for them is Brett Howden. And I know this guy's cards also just seem like they're everywhere, but he was initially a Bolts prospect. And then we traded him in 2018 for Ryan McDonough and JT Miller in that big trade with Libor Hayek as well. Yeah, I'm just a fan of his game. I think 65 games this year with 17 points, so he's not lighting it up or anything. I'm not saying he's a star. But yeah, I think he's going to be a very solid, third liner probably the rest of his career. And I just really like him. I don't know, he kind of just gravitate toward him. Another honorable mention, I guess, is Chris Kreider as well. I really like him. I thought he was going to get dealt, but he got re-signed. So moving on, this one was a little bit hard, but we have the Ottawa Senators. I was going to go with Thomas Chabot, but I think it's Bobby Ryan. Just A, after the hat trick and emotional game he had the other night, but B, I really like his game, and he's just had a solid career. 828 games played. People are gonna say he's overrated, but that's just because of the contract he's tied to, and I mean he's probably laughing to the bank when people say that stuff. So great solid career, and was really cool to see what happened to him the other night. Moving on, we have a guy with a ton of hype around him, Carter Hart. I love Carter Hart. 21 years old, drafted 48th overall in the 2016 draft by the Flyers. Just, the child prodigy goalie, like the next coming Carey Price. Listen to this stat though. I saw this the other day. His home record is 18-2-2 with a 941 save percentage. His away record is 3-10-1 with an 855 save percentage. And he was asked about it, and he was just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, really weird, but I think he's going to be amazing, and you guys will be hearing about him probably winning Vezinas in the future. Unless Andrei Vasilevsky has anything to say about that in the next 10 years. But anyways, moving on, we're going to the Penguins, and this is no surprise to anybody, Sidney Crosby. I mean, not really anybody else on the Penguins I could look to and be like, yeah, I really like them. Not a huge fan of the Penguins, but you have to like Crosby in his game. This blew my mind. 1,257 points in 979 games. I mean, just people... I don't know. It seems like the last couple of years, people like kind of forget the greatness that is Sidney Crosby. And yeah, just drafted number 1 overall in 2005. Will get inducted in the Hall of Fame immediately. One of the best players ever, and really nice guy behind the scenes. And so moving on to the San Jose Sharks, we have Thomas Hertl. He was drafted 17th overall in the 2012 draft and had his best year, I believe, in 18-19, scoring 74 points with 35 goals. Really like Hertl. I was going to go with Jumbo Joe, but I don't know. I like Hertl's game a lot more. It just sucks because he can't stay healthy, it seems like, but hope he gets healthy again and just rips it up next year. I mean, the Sharks are done this year, but yeah, so moving on, we have the St. Louis Blues and another team that was kind of hard to choose from. I'm going to go with Braden Shin, initially drafted by the Kings 5th overall, and just never really panned out with them. Kind of floundered around a little bit in their system before he was drafted in 2009 to the Philadelphia Flyers, where he started, picking up pace. And then he was traded again in, I think, 2017, right before that year. To the Blues, where he had his best season, getting 70 points in 17-18. His brother Luke plays for the Bolts, and let's just say Braden Shin is the better player of the two. I was going to go with Vladimir Tarasenko just because he's a beast, but yeah, I think Braden Shin's probably my favorite player. Okay, boys, and now we have the Tampa Bay Lightning, and can you guys guess my favorite player all time and current for the Bolts? It is that man, Steven Stamkos. So I'll just go through the cards real quick. We have you guys have definitely seen this autoed Young Guns that I got in person. If you guys want to check out a past video of mine, it's when I went card shopping in Tampa, of all places, and I found this card for a great deal. So sick. I won this one in a break. I got so lucky. It was Artifacts of last year, and he pulled this out. He's like, "Oh, sick card," and he just had no idea the girl screams that were in the background. Just me going crazy. I was freaking out. And then we have this autoed Jim Mint Future Watch of Steven Stamkos, one of my favorite cards in my collection. But yeah, I mean, Stamkos, all-time goal leader for the Lightning, already at 422, I believe. And yeah, drafted 1st overall in that 2008 draft class. Just one of the coolest players I've ever seen. Just a beast. Okay, and so moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs, we have Austin Matthews, drafted number 1 overall in 2016. He grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona, which I find really, really cool. I've seen a lot of things behind the scenes of him, with his mom talking about growing up there, and I just think it's awesome to have an American player that is this good to kind of look up to. And he played professional in Zurich before he came over to the NHL, and I just remember, before he was getting drafted and everything, just being like, this guy is going to be so good. And he's already up to 52 goals or something this year. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Yeah, I think he's just going to be a stud, and he's so, I mean, not going to be a stud. He is going to be a stud for a long time to come. And he's just so fun to watch. Okay, so this one is going to surprise probably everybody. My favorite player on the Vancouver Canucks is not Elias Pettersson, not Brock Besser. Very close second of Quinn Hughes, but he's not Quinn Hughes. It's actually Adam Gaudette. A fifth rounder in 2015, slipped under everybody's radar, or just not given that opportunity. But he has 30 points in 54 games this year. Just such a solid two-way player. Just like not the game of Bergeron, but very defensive-minded like a Bergeron or a Jonathan Toews or something like that. And he just grinds. Like, I really, really like this game or his game, and I think it's been flourishing this year. If you've been paying attention to the Canucks. So, Golden Knights was also kind of hard. I thought I was going to either do Marc-Andre Fleury or Jonathan Marchessault, but I'm going to go with Alex Tuch. 52 points last year, career high, I believe. Originally drafted by the Minnesota Wild, was in their system for a couple years before getting traded over to the Golden Knights. Right before the expansion draft, I believe he was traded. And he just recently signed a 7-year deal, inked at $4.75 million per year. And a lot of people might think that that's an overpayment, but just with the way the salary cap works and how his game works, I think like that much for a guy that does this much for your team and produces a solid amount of points is a great deal. And I think he's going to be a key piece of the Golden Knights offense moving forward. So the last two teams, I wish I had a sick card of this guy, but I mean, just like Crosby with the Penguins, you can't say Ovechkin's not your favorite Capitals player. I mean, just a beast. 701 goals to be 8th all time on the goal leaderboard, and I believe he's right behind Mike Gardner, who has 708 points. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say about Ovechkin? Like, he's finally got that Stanley Cup, unfortunately beating the Lightning in the process that year. But, yeah, I just, like, such a stud. So funny. Gets a bad rap sometimes, but I think that was just earlier in his career with how kind of selfish he was when he was playing. But such a funny guy and just such a great player. It's awesome that we get to witness him play. And then lastly is the Winnipeg Jets, and kind of like some of these other teams, I didn't really have a favorite, but if I had to choose, it was either going to be Patrick Laine, but I went with Connor Hellebuck. Originally a 5th round draft pick in the 2012 draft, 130th overall. Kind of fell through the cracks a little bit, but once he got his shot, he's been a great goalie. Very, very underrated in my eyes. In his 5 seasons in the NHL, he has a .916 save percentage on average, which is solid. Like, that's great. And yeah, I think he's having a great year this year as well. But yeah, guys, so that's my favorite player from every single team. It's not my favorite card of theirs. I try to put in some of my favorite cards of theirs. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below who your favorite players are from your favorite teams. And yeah, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It just helps the channel grow. Feel free to check out my Instagram, 813hockeycards, and I will check you guys out in the next video.